You can do thousands of crunches. You can eat almost nothing. You can walk every day and still watch your belly refuse to shrink. And if you're over 60, that frustration feels personal. Many seniors are told this stubborn belly is just part of aging, something you have to accept, something that comes with time. But that belief is quietly keeping millions of older adults stuck, tired, and unhealthy. Here's the truth most people never hear. The belly fat you can grab with your hands is not the real danger. That soft, jiggly fat is not what is damaging your health. The real threat is the fat you cannot pinch. It sits deep inside your body, wrapped around your organs, squeezing your liver, stressing your pancreas, and quietly driving heart disease and diabetes. This hidden fat is called visceral fat, and you can have a dangerous amount of it even if you look thin everywhere else. That is why so many seniors say, "I eat well. I walk daily, but my belly keeps growing." You are not broken. You are fighting the wrong enemy. In this video, I am going to show you a specific Japanese-inspired protocol that targets visceral fat directly. It uses a powerful vegetable pigment, a unique tea compound, and a simple movement rule that help reduce dangerous belly fat by nearly half in just 2 months. Make sure you watch until the end because the final part explains why many seniors unknowingly block visceral fat loss even when they believe they are doing everything right. Before we continue, let me ask you something. How old are you? Where are you watching from? And have you ever been told that belly fat is normal for your age? Share your answer in the comments. You are not alone in this. The hidden enemy inside your belly. To defeat visceral fat, you first have to understand why it is so different from the fat you see in the mirror. The fat under your skin, the kind that feels soft or jiggly, is mostly passive. It stores extra energy and sits quietly. It might affect how your clothes fit, but it is not actively attacking your health. Visceral fat is nothing like that. Visceral fat is biologically active. It behaves less like storage and more like an organ that should not be there. It releases inflammatory chemicals into your bloodstream. It interferes with insulin. It disrupts hormones. And over time, it quietly raises the risk of heart disease, fatty liver, and type 2 diabetes. Think of visceral fat like an unwanted parasite living inside your body. It wraps itself around your liver, your stomach, and your pancreas. It feeds on inflammation and excess energy, and in return, it sends distress signals throughout your system. This is why doctors often see seniors with normal body weight who still struggle with blood sugar, blood pressure, and fatigue. There is even a name for this condition. Thin on the outside, fat on the inside. That is what makes visceral fat so dangerous. You cannot judge it by appearance alone. You can have slim arms, thin legs, and still be carrying a heavy metabolic burden deep inside your abdomen. Many seniors ask, how do I know if I have it? Here is a simple non-medical way to understand the difference. If your belly feels soft and squishy, that is mostly surface fat. But if your stomach pushes outward, feels firm, tight, or hard, like pressure from the inside, that is often visceral fat pressing against the abdominal wall. That firmness is not muscle. It is not strength. It is your internal organs asking for relief. And here's the part that gives hope. Visceral fat may be the most dangerous fat in the body, but it is also the most responsive when you send the right signals. It reacts faster than surface fat because it is metabolically active. That means once you stop feeding it and start blocking its pathways, it shrinks quickly. This is where most seniors get it wrong. They assume more exercise or less food is the answer, but visceral fat does not respond to punishment. It responds to precision, and that brings us to the first part of the Japanese approach, where the focus is not on eating less, but on removing the internal conditions that allow visceral fat to thrive. Why visceral fat thrives as we age. Many seniors blame themselves when belly fat refuses to disappear. They think they lack discipline or willpower, but the real reason visceral fat grows more easily with age has very little to do with effort. It has everything to do with internal stress. Inside your body, your cells work like tiny engines. They burn fuel to keep you alive, moving, and thinking. But just like any engine, when they run hot for too long, they begin to wear down. This wear and tear is called oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is not something you feel right away. It builds slowly over years. Poor sleep, blood sugar spikes, chronic stress, inflammation, and processed foods all add to it. As we get older, our natural defenses against this stress weaken, which allows damage to pile up faster. Visceral fat thrives in this environment. Think of oxidative stress like rust forming inside a machine. The more rust there is, the easier it is for visceral fat to settle in and grow. It uses that damaged environment to protect itself and expand. This is why starving yourself does not work. Cutting calories without addressing oxidative stress only makes the body more stressed. Your system interprets it as danger, not healing. In response, your metabolism slows down and clings to fat even harder, especially the fat wrapped around your organs. Here is where the Japanese approach is different. Instead of forcing the body into survival mode, it focuses on restoring balance inside the cells. When oxidative stress is reduced, visceral fat loses its protective shield. It becomes vulnerable. In Japan, researchers discovered that certain plant pigments do more than provide vitamins. They actively neutralize oxidative stress and send signals to the body that it is safe to release stored fat. This is not about eating less food, it is about eating the right signals. Once those internal signals change, visceral fat no longer has a reason to stay. And that leads us directly into the first step of the Japanese protocol, where color on your plate becomes a powerful weapon against dangerous belly fat. The Japanese pigment protocol that weakens visceral fat. When Japanese researchers began studying why some older adults stayed lean around the waist despite aging, they noticed something simple but powerful. Their plates were colorful, not decorative, functional. The deep orange of carrots, the rich green of spinach, the red of tomatoes and peppers. These colors come from natural plant pigments called carotenoids. And in the body, carotenoids act like internal firefighters. They neutralize oxidative stress before it can damage cells and give visceral fat a place to hide. In one controlled Japanese study, participants were not asked to diet or exercise more. They simply increased their intake of carotenoid-rich vegetables for several weeks. No starvation, no supplements, just food. The result was a significant reduction in visceral fat. Here is why this matters for seniors. Carotenoids do more than protect cells. They influence gene signaling. They help turn on the genes responsible for burning fat and quiet the genes that store it. When oxidative stress drops, visceral fat loses its advantage. This is not about eating more food, it is about eating more color. Beige foods feed visceral fat. White bread, crackers, pastries, and refined starches increase internal stress and inflammation, but vibrant foods do the opposite. They calm the internal environment and tell your body it is safe to release stored fat. Think of carotenoids as a shield. They do not attack your body, they protect it. And when protection rises, visceral fat retreats. For seniors, this is especially important because digestion, absorption, and recovery slow with age. Your body needs support, not punishment. Colorful vegetables provide that support without overwhelming the system. This is the first key of the Japanese approach. Before burning fat, you remove the conditions that allow it to survive. But food alone is not enough. Once the shield is in place, the next step is unlocking the fat so your body can actually burn it. And that is where a specific Japanese tea comes in. The Japanese tea that unlocks stored fat. You have probably heard that green tea helps with fat loss. Many seniors dismiss this as another health myth, but the truth is more specific and far more powerful than most people realize. Green tea does not work because it is trendy. It works because of how it interacts with fat at the cellular level. Inside green tea are natural compounds that act like keys. These compounds help unlock fat cells so stored fat can finally be released and burned for energy. At the same time, they slow down the absorption of dietary fat, which reduces the amount your body stores in the first place. This double action is why Japanese researchers became so interested in green tea. In controlled studies, adults who regularly consumed green tea rich in these compounds experienced noticeable reductions in visceral fat over time, not surface weight loss, internal fat loss. But here's where many seniors accidentally sabotage the process. Most bottled green teas are not real green tea. They are sweetened drinks with minimal benefit. The sugar inside them actually increases stress on the liver, which makes visceral fat worse. The Japanese approach is different. They favor teas made from whole leaves such as matcha or sencha. When you consume the whole leaf, you receive a much higher concentration of the active compounds. This creates a stronger signal for fat release. There is also a natural partnership at work here. The mild caffeine in green tea gently increases energy use. While the plant compounds unlock the fat itself, one prepares the engine, the other opens the fuel tank. For seniors, this matters because the goal is not stimulation, it is efficiency. You do not need large amounts. 1 or 2 properly prepared cups a day is enough to send a clear signal to your body. No sugar, no syrups, just clean, simple tea. Once fat is unlocked, your body still needs a reason to burn it. That reason comes from movement. Not extreme workouts, not punishment, but a very specific level of activity that Japanese researchers found to be especially powerful for visceral fat, the movement zone that shrinks dangerous belly fat. When most seniors think about exercise, they think about exhaustion, pain, or doing something unsafe. That fear is understandable, but the kind of movement that targets visceral fat is not extreme, and it does not require athletic ability. It requires precision. Japanese researchers found that visceral fat responds best to movement performed at a moderate but steady intensity, not too easy, not too hard, right in the middle. This intensity is often described as about 75% effort, but you do not need machines or numbers to find it. You only need your breath. This is called the talk test. If you are moving and you can sing a song comfortably, the effort is too low. Your body is not challenged enough to release visceral fat. If you are gasping for air and cannot speak at all, the effort is too intense and can raise stress hormones that work against fat loss. The ideal zone is when you can speak in full sentences, but you sound slightly winded. You can talk, but you would rather pause between phrases. That is the zone where visceral fat begins to melt away. In one remarkable study involving older adults, participants exercised just 2 times per week for less than an hour per session. They did not lose much weight on the scale, but they lost nearly half of their visceral fat in only 2 months. This is why the scale can be misleading for seniors. The scale measures everything: muscle, water, and bone. Visceral fat changes happen internally first, long before you see dramatic changes in body weight. Here's the key difference between exercise and dieting. Dieting eventually hits a wall. Your metabolism slows to protect you. Exercise does not hit that wall. The more consistently you move at the right intensity, the more visceral fat your body releases. For seniors, the safest options work best. Brisk walking, cycling, swimming, or walking uphill are all effective. The goal is not speed. It is steady effort. Once your body receives the signal that fat is unlocked and movement demands energy, visceral fat finally gives up its grip. But there is one more trap many seniors fall into that can undo all of this progress if they are not careful. Now, let me pause for just a moment. If this is already making sense so far, take a second to like this video and subscribe to Senior Vital Health. It truly helps us reach other seniors who are trying to protect their health and independence. And let me ask you, how has your health been lately? Feel free to share in the comments. Also, if you are finding this video helpful and would like to support the channel, you can tap the super thanks button below. Even a small token helps us continue creating senior-focused health content like this. Why starving yourself makes visceral fat worse? When seniors want to lose belly fat, the first instinct is often to eat less, much less. Some skip meals. Some eat only once a day. Others try extreme fasting without preparation or medical guidance. This feels logical, but it is one of the biggest mistakes you can make with visceral fat. Your body does not interpret severe calorie restriction as a health strategy. It interprets it as danger. When food drops too low, especially in older adults, your metabolism shifts into protection mode. Hormones that burn fat slow down. Stress hormones rise. Muscle tissue is preserved less efficiently, and visceral fat becomes even more stubborn. This is why many seniors say, "I eat almost nothing, yet my belly will not go away." Your body is trying to keep you alive, not lean. Research shows that calorie restriction has a ceiling. After a point, eating less no longer leads to more fat loss. It leads to metabolic slowdown. Exercise, however, works differently. Movement creates demand, and visceral fat responds to demand. This is why the Japanese approach never separates food from movement. You nourish the body with protective pigments. You unlock fat with tea. Then you create demand with steady movement. Fuel plus motion tells your body it is safe to release stored fat. This is especially important for seniors because muscle, balance, and energy all depend on proper nutrition. Starving yourself weakens the very systems that protect independence and mobility later in life. The goal is not to punish your body. The goal is to send clear signals. Once those signals are aligned, visceral fat responds quickly and predictably. And that brings us to how to combine everything you have learned into a simple plan you can realistically follow. Putting the Japanese approach into a simple daily rhythm. By now, you can see that losing visceral fat is not about willpower. It is about alignment. When your food, your movement, and your internal signals work together, your body does the hard work for you. This is where many seniors feel relieved because the Japanese-inspired approach is not complicated. You start by looking at your plate. Each meal should include at least one deeply colored vegetable, orange, red, or dark green. These foods act as protection. They calm internal stress and weaken the environment visceral fat depends on. You are not counting calories. You are adding defense. Next comes what you drink. Instead of another sugary beverage or a second coffee late in the day, you choose a simple green tea made from whole leaves. Matcha or sencha are traditional options. No sugar, no syrups. This sends a clear message to your body that stored fat can be unlocked and used. Then comes movement, not punishment, not exhaustion. Just steady activity at a pace where you can talk but feel slightly breathless. A brisk walk, a gentle bike ride, swimming, or walking uphill all work well. You are not racing anyone. You are creating demand. When these three signals repeat consistently, visceral fat no longer feels protected. It becomes available for burning and your internal health begins to improve before the mirror ever changes. Before we finish, it is important to pause and speak directly to you as an older adult. Everything shared in this video is meant for educational purposes and general wellness support, not as medical advice. Every senior's body is different. Your medical history, medications, mobility level, and existing conditions all matter. If you have heart disease, diabetes, liver conditions, joint problems, or if you are taking prescription medications, it is important to speak with your doctor or healthcare provider before making changes to your diet, activity level, or daily routine. The Japanese-inspired strategies discussed here are gentle and widely used, but they should always be adapted to your personal situation. The goal is not speed. The goal is safety, consistency, and long-term health. Listen to your body. Move at a pace that feels stable and controlled. Choose foods that sit well with your digestion, and if something does not feel right, stop and seek professional guidance. Healthy aging is not about pushing through pain or ignoring warning signs. It is about working with your body, not against it. Let us take a moment to simplify everything we have covered so it stays clear and usable. Visceral fat is not the soft fat you can pinch. It is the hidden fat wrapped around your organs, and it is the type that drives many age-related health problems in seniors. The reason it grows with age is not laziness or lack of discipline. It grows because internal stress and inflammation create the perfect environment for it to survive. The Japanese-inspired approach works because it changes that environment. Colorful vegetables calm internal stress and weaken visceral fat's defenses. Proper green tea unlocks stored fat so it can be used for energy instead of staying trapped. Steady movement at the right pace creates demand, telling your body it is safe to burn what it no longer needs. This is not about extremes. It is about sending the right signals consistently. When those signals repeat, visceral fat responds faster than most seniors expect. If you are over 60, you have likely been told that decline is inevitable, that stubborn belly fat is just part of getting older, that your best years are behind you. That message is wrong. Your body is not broken. It is responding exactly as it was designed to respond. When stress is high, it protects. When safety returns, it releases. Visceral fat is not a life sentence. It is a signal, and signals can be changed. You do not need to punish yourself. You do not need extreme workouts or starvation diets. You need clarity, consistency, and patience with your body. Small changes done daily are more powerful than drastic changes done briefly. If you found this video helpful, please like it and subscribe to Senior Vital Health. This channel is dedicated to helping seniors protect their health, strength, and independence at every stage of aging. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Take care of your body. It still wants to take care of